absolutely amazing. I'm just going to put it out there. Even though we're just at the beginning of our review, I have to tell you that I have absolutely been loving this bag, and I'm kind of mad at myself that it took me so long to actually add it to my collection. Hello, my friends. You may remember that I recently picked up a rather understated Hermes bag, the grooming bag, which I have been putting to the test for the past 2 months, I want to say, which I'm not even sure if it has been that long, but I think it has. And if that's the case, it's crazy how time flies. But anyway, I've been consistently using this bag just so I can come back, share with you my experience, and answer the big question if this bag is really worth the money and your time. Well, if you'd like to hear my thoughts and everything that there is to know about the Hermes grooming bag, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and keep on watching. If I look slightly orange in today's video, you'll have to excuse me, but I just caught a glimpse of myself in the viewfinder, and I think because all the lights are bouncing off this orange lining, I have a slight orange hue to my skin, which, I mean, I guess it's not the worst thing to happen considering that we are talking about an Hermes bag, so at least we are staying on brand. But anyway, let's get into talking about the grooming bag because it's not an overly popular bag. I don't think too many people are talking about it. And it's actually not a piece that you'll see displayed amongst other Hermes bags, considering that it's part of the Hermes equestrian line, which is a range that I should really do a video on because it has some of the best hidden gems of Hermes. Some of the most used pieces in my collection are from the Hermes equestrian line. And yes, it's called an equestrian line, but you don't actually have to have a horse or a stable to be able to use any one of their pieces. Now, I'm not saying to buy yourself a saddle if you don't have a horse, but there are some amazing hidden gems in this line that I feel like anyone could use. So if you'd like to see a video, a dedicated video on my favorite pieces from the equestrian line from Hermes, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section. But this bag is no exception. It is absolutely amazing. I'm just going to put it out there. Even though we're just at the beginning of our review, I have to tell you that I have absolutely been loving this bag, and I'm kind of mad at myself that it took me so long to actually add it to my collection because it has been absolutely amazing. And you may ask, why do you love it so much? I have to say that the biggest reason for me is that it's all made of canvas, and it's not just any canvas, but it's this incredibly hard wearing, water repellent and resistant canvas, which means that this is a bag that I really don't have to worry about. This might be one of the only bags in my collection, at least from Hermes, that I can wear all day long, anytime, and I never have to stress and worry about my bag, how I hold it, where I put it, am I gonna get caught in the rain, is someone going to bump into my bag, what's going to happen then? But anyway, I'm just going to tell you that I love this bag, and I do think it's a piece that is worth looking into. Now, does it mean that it's perfect? Absolutely not. We'll move on to the plenty of pros and some of the cons that I have to share with you that I feel like would be important for you to keep in mind. But if you love the way this bag looks, just know that it's made of 100% canvas. You don't have to worry about this bag being made out of a textile and not leather. It actually means that it will be a lot longer lasting than a leather bag would be, especially if you're going to be using it like a true equestrian. On the outside, you of course have the Hermes Cellier branding, which is something that you'll see on most pieces from the Hermes equestrian line. And then you have four incredibly generous pockets. So you have two on the outside, one on the front, one on the back, and then you have another two on the sides. which just happen to fit a water bottle or your bubble tea perfectly, whichever you prefer. But I just wanted to let you know that if you love organization and bags that have a lot of different compartments to them, this is a great bag to go for, which I think would also make this an amazing diaper bag if you have a lot of different things that babies need, because you have all these easy access pockets. I think it would be a dream come true. I tend to use this front pocket for my phone and then the back pocket for some tissues or some gloves or even for my keys. And because these pockets are so wide and so deep, you don't really have to worry about anything falling out of your pocket or anyone reaching into your bags, because they are not just one of those really shallow pockets that really don't hold anything. These are actually functional. Now, when I unboxed this bag, quite a few of you expressed to me that you love the idea of this bag, but that you're not the biggest fan of the branding on the front, which I can say two things about. Number one, the back of the bag is identical to the front. It is exactly the same. So if you don't like the branding, you can easily turn it around and it will look just as if you were carrying it with the front facing out, but you won't have the branding on show. And then another thing that I have to tell you about is that actually the branding isn't as loud and as obvious as you would think it is. Obviously, you're not going to get a true representation here because I'm sitting in front of, I don't even know how many studio lights. You are looking at this bag and you're focusing on all the details. But when you're actually carrying this in real life, the branding is not screaming, it's not in your face. So much so that I actually had a couple of people come up to me and ask me where my bag is from, because the branding is so not obvious. Now, obviously, if you want to point it out and look really close, you can see it. I'm not gonna tell you that it is the most subtle bag out there, but it's not nearly as loud as you would think it is just looking at it over the camera or in a picture that is perfectly color corrected and exposed so you can see the branding. I have to tell you that in real life, it's not nearly as loud as you would think, but I completely understand if you don't want to show off the branding, you can turn it around and the back of the bag has none of that going on. So that is pretty much everything that you have to know about the outside of the bag. You do obviously get two top handles, which are made of a really thick canvas. I don't think it's exactly the same as the body of the bag, it just feels a little bit more glossy, but it is incredibly hard wearing. Personally, these straps are not long enough for me to put this bag over my shoulder just using the two top handles. But if you have a thinner arm, I don't think it would be an issue. I think you could easily put this over your shoulder. I tried, it didn't work for me, but I think you possibly could, especially because the top part of the bag is quite bendy, so you don't have to really worry about pushing it down because it will bounce back beautifully. You do also get a shoulder strap on the outside of the bag, which is removable. And I promise we'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about the cons of this bag. But at the end of the day, it is a great option to have a shoulder strap on your bag, which is incredibly sturdy and thick. And unfortunately, it is not adjustable. Personally, I don't think it's long enough for me to wear this crossbody. I have tried it a couple of times and it wasn't the most comfortable. And for your reference, I'm 5'11". But I do think that if you're a little bit more petite or shorter than I am, you could even use this as a crossbody strap. On me, it is not the most comfortable, but I love the fact that there is a shoulder strap. So if my hands are full and I'm carrying groceries home, which by the way, this I also use for groceries and it is absolutely amazing. Is it obnoxious to use an Hermes bag as your grocery bag? Probably it is, but I'm just letting you know that if you want to use it as a grocery bag, it is pretty spectacular. But if you're carrying groceries in your hands and you still have this bag on hand, it's great that you get this strap to just put it over one shoulder and not have to worry about how you're going to be carrying this bag. And even though it's technically quite a large bag, it measures 54 centimeters, it doesn't look as big as other bags do, like a Birkin 40, which I'm not comparing this to a Birkin. I understand that they are two completely different animals, but I do think that the Birkin 40 is a style and a size that most of you would be familiar with. And I have to tell you that yes, this bag is technically larger than a Birkin 40 when it comes to how it looks and feels. I don't want to say that it looks or feels smaller, but it just looks a lot more proportionate. So just hearing the measurements of this bag being 54 centimeters, it shouldn't put you off of this bag, even if you're shorter or more petite. I think this is a bag that you would get on incredibly well with. Why? Because this bag is really, really thin and it collapses beautifully if you don't have it packed to the brim. Obviously you can completely stretch it out and pack it with, probably you could use this as a travel bag, even as an overnight bag or a weekend bag, because I think it would probably fit 2 or 3 days worth of stuff depending on how light of a packer you are. But I do think you can fit quite a bit in here, a lot more than anyone out there needs on a daily basis. But if you don't have it packed full, it collapses beautifully and it's also unbelievably light just because it's all canvas. Probably the heaviest thing on this bag is the shoulder strap, which is removable. So when I say that it is 54 centimeters, that shouldn't scare you, even if you usually prefer a smaller bag. This is something that I feel you'd get on much better than you would initially think, just because of how this bag is constructed. And you can either use it completely open, as I do, as an open style tote, or you can actually make it a little bit smaller by snapping these closures together, which give this bag a completely different shape and structure, and they do make it seem just a little bit smaller. So if you prefer a smaller shape, this is of course an option. I do have to tell you that if you're going to use the bag like this, you won't have the easiest access to the shoulder strap, but it might not be a facet that you're interested in. And it also makes it a lot easier for you to take advantage of the side pockets. Moving on into the bag, there are going to be a few things that will probably stand out to you at first glance, which are going to be the fact that this has quite a vibrant contrast lining to it, which I think many of you will appreciate. I just think when you have a bag that is quite dark, when the inside is lighter, it just makes it a lot easier to find anything inside of your bags. So that is definitely a pro when it comes to this bag. There is a removable insert which you can take out from your bag anytime that you please, which is completely machine washable. So if you use this as an everyday bag and you're worried about it getting a little dirty or dusty, or you might throw your snacks in here, this is something that you can really easily vacuum, lint roll, or if you want to, you can throw this into the washing machine and then air dry it and you're good to go. So as I said in my original unboxing, if you have a partner who is not known for being the most careful with their pieces, be it your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, or your wife, this is the perfect bag to hand to them because you really don't have to worry about it too much. I think this would be a really difficult bag to ruin and destroy. I'm sure it's not impossible, but you don't have to worry about anyone scratching it, marking it on the outside or on the inside, because you can easily remove the lining whenever you want to and get it completely cleaned. I'm sure you could even have it dry cleaned, which is probably what I would do. I haven't had the need to do it, but I'm sure if I had to, it is something that could be done. And then one more thing that I wanted to point out is that the label that you get inside of the insert is not the label that you're probably used to seeing from Hermes, because this is their equestrian branding. So anything that you buy from the equestrian line will have this branding in it. Unlike the bags that you're probably used to seeing, so the Birkin, the Kelly, and the Constance will have the classic 3-line Hermes branding. This, on the other hand, is slightly different, so just keep that in mind. And then also on the inside of the bag, it is full of compartments and pockets. You do have 2 gigantic side pockets, as you do on the outside inside of the insert. And then you also have a zip pocket in the back, which is unbelievably generous. It goes pretty much the entire height of the bag. So if you want to make sure that your wallet stays safe, if there is anything private that you want to have, in a compartment that is a little bit more secure, because it is an open style tote at the end of the day, you do have that pocket. And then if you have something a little bit larger that you want to make sure people cannot see or cannot get to, you can actually remove this insert, put those pieces underneath it, and then lay the insert back down. That is another way to just make your bag a little bit more, secure if you're going through a crowded airport, or if you are a tourist in a city that you're not familiar with. Those things might be something that you want to keep in mind, in which case you do get that pocket and you can also pack things underneath the insert. But the insert also has these drawstring details which you can pull in. You cannot pull it all the way in, but you can definitely make the bag feel a little bit more closed if you wanted to. I haven't done this, but you can. So that is pretty much, I think, all you have to know about the inside and the outside of the bag. It is just an incredible bag. So let's touch on some of the pros and some of the cons. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this review, one of the biggest pros for me, what I love about this bag, is that it's really so easy to use. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about getting caught in the rain with this bag. You don't have to worry about scratching it and marking it, just because it's so resilient and hard wearing. And I've also heard a couple of you say that you use this bag and have been doing so as a travel bag, which, if that's you, I just have to say my hat's off to you. You are very much ahead of the game, because I so wish I had bought this bag sooner. It is just the perfect bag to use either every single day or as a travel bag, whether you're going to use this as almost an alternative to a duffel bag or just as your carry-on. It fits a lot, but it's also incredibly organized, so it's not one of those bottomless totes that you can shove a lot of things into, but you'll never know where anything is, because you have all these different pockets and compartments. So as a travel bag, it works beautifully. And even though it's a large bag and it fits a ton, it is lightweight. So keep that in mind. You don't have to worry about this bag becoming overly heavy, because it is not heavy to begin with, unlike some leather tote bags. So those are some of the biggest pros for me personally. And the fact that I think it would suit everyone, because the proportions of this bag are just so unbelievably well thought out, that anyone who's looking for a functional tote bag, I think, would find a time and a place for this in their collections. Now let's touch on some of the cons, because just like everything, this bag isn't perfect either. And I do think that if you don't like a tote bag, you're not going to like this from the get-go. I'm just going to put it out there. If you don't like a large open style tote, this is not the bag for you. Even though, as I said, you can make it just a little bit more compact and closed by snapping either the closures together on the side, or you can also pull the strings of the insert in. But I do have to say that there have been times when I was out and about, it started raining, and I had my MacBook in there, where I was like, is my MacBook going to get soaked just because there isn't a zip on top of this bag? So it's not like you can completely close this bag and whatever is inside of your bag is going to stay intact. If you are like me and you carry around an iPad or a MacBook, you do have to keep that in mind, that it might take you a couple of minutes just to make sure that it doesn't get wet. What I would say to do is that if you don't have a sleeve for your whatever tech thing you're carrying around, you can actually fold the top of this almost like a little grocery bag, and then just put it in your bag like this, so it still stays as dry as it possibly can. But I'm just going to say it that it is an open style tote, so if that's not something that you prefer, unfortunately this does not have a zip on top, but thankfully there are ways around it. And then the other thing that I have to point out that is kind of a con with this bag is the shoulder strap, which I do appreciate, I like the option of a shoulder strap, but I don't really understand why they didn't make this adjustable, because it is similar to the shoulder strap that comes with the Evelyn bag. It's not the same, it's slightly different, but it is a similar idea, so I'm not sure why they decided not to make this adjustable, because I think that would have made a big difference. And then even though the closure on this bag is beautiful, I don't think I've seen Hermes do a strap similar to this. It is, believe it or not the most secure, because it has happened to me before that this just somehow came off on its own. I don't even know how to explain it or how to demonstrate it to you, but I remember carrying this bag just handheld, and I noticed something dragging on the floor behind me, and it was the strap. And it didn't happen once or twice, it happened a handful of times. Now it might be just me, I might be doing something wrong, I might have put it on the wrong way, I probably should have tried it the other way around too, but I have noticed the strap come off, so just be careful with that. It never happened when I actually carried this bag over my shoulder, probably because there was some weight on it, so there wasn't too much room for it to move around. But when I actually carried it handheld, I just wanted to let you know that the strap came off here and there, but other than that, this bag I absolutely adore. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to put the shoulder strap the other way around, and then in between of me filming and uploading this video, I'll make sure to test it this way and see if anything happens. Now, I cannot guarantee that it will be a good experiment because the straps don't fall off every single time I use this bag. I would say it happened maybe 3 times over the course of the past few months, but I'll give it a try. I have a suspicion now that just looking at the strap and the way I had it attached, that I had it on the wrong way, but I'll definitely keep you posted. But just keep it in mind that that has happened to me, yeah, maybe 3 or 4 times. But my friends, this really completes today's review on the grooming bag. I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted. If there is anything else that you would like to know, let me know in the comment section. But I would say that this is the kind of piece that would fill a gap in, I find, most people's collections, especially for the price. I think if you're looking for an easy, simple, everyday tote that is fuss-free, this is an amazing bag to look into. It would be amazing whether you're going to use this as a work bag, as an everyday just carry-all, if you're going to use this as a diaper bag. I think it is absolutely fabulous. I really cannot think of anyone who wouldn't be able to use it unless you absolutely hate a large bag, even though, as I said, for a large bag, this is pretty good. I think anyone would love this bag. So from me, this definitely gets a thumbs up. And if you like it too, and if you like this video, make sure that you don't forget to give this video a thumbs up too. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe. If there are any questions that you'd like me to answer on this bag, if there's anything that I didn't cover, be sure to let me know and I'll do my best to get back to you. But this is really it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. I will be back with a new video really soon. But in the meantime, have a nice weekend and I'll see you back here with a new video soon. Bye!